Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is the 5-minute watch review. My name is Strider, or you can call me Little Jim. Most videos are going to be 5 minutes long, but extra special watches get the spotlight. And that could be as long as 20 minutes. So strap in, we're going for a ride.
When I wake up at night, I gotta know the time. Can I sleep some more? Out of bed I climb. Check throughout my workday, counting down to lunch. Looking at my wrist all day, checking the time a bunch. It's not just about the time, it's part of my identity. The character of the design, exhibiting my complexity. The colors, my mood, rushed out the house without it, I'm screwed. Without my watch, feel nude. It's part of my life, it's who I am. I'm a big time watch lover, a huge ass fan. I know my phone has a clock, but I don't care. My phone lacks the flair. My watch shows my personality, my individuality. My interest in love, I keep buying more to satisfy my urges. I can't stop collecting, overspending splurges, emptying the bank. Now I got too many payments on several services. Quartz or auto, and yeah, you need to win the lotto to buy some complications.
This is going to be the very first time that I'm discussing homage watches here on my channel. But funny enough, due to my experience with this one, it's not likely to be my last. As a matter of fact, if anybody watching happens to own any Addiesdive watches, or also Steel Dive watches, because I guess they're sister companies, and you've had good experiences with them, please put it down in the comments down below and let me know. Maybe this is a brand that I might want to dive into repeatedly. And let me know which one you got, because maybe the one you've got is one that I might be interested in as well. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, personally, I despise knockoffs, replicas, all that, but that's not what this is. It seems like semantics when you call a watch an homage instead of a fake or a replica, but there really is a very important distinction, and I think we're going to have to get into that in just a couple of minutes here. First off, the packaging. The packaging is boring and super cheap, making you second guess your purchase before you even open the box to see what's inside. Now, this appears to be a common case that's used by a number of AliExpress brands. These cases cost a penny, actually. If you buy a minimum of 30, they cost you a penny each. Because I have actually used a similar type case like this before packaging a product that I was working with. Now, moving on here, there was a hang tag attached, and they have an interesting user manual that looks a lot, or a little bit, like a passport, which I thought was kind of cool. It's pretty interesting. And then you have the COA card, which should be filled out. Unfortunately, it's not. So you have a COA card that doubles as your warranty card, but even buying it directly from Addiesdive, it's not filled out. So I don't know if it's valid or not. I don't know if they're actually going to help you out if you have a problem. And then here are the 3 links that I removed to size the bracelet. All this can go back in now. And now we get to the watch, because that's really all that matters here. The packaging, it's always nice to have nice packaging because you get that initial experience and it feels really good. It makes you feel special for having purchased whatever that was if the packaging is really well done, but it's honestly not a big deal. Now, going back to the topic of homage/replica and all that kind of stuff, the distinction does matter. in the case of this watch, the watch is using another brand's design, but they're not trying to fool anyone into thinking it's the original. Yes, this is made to look like a Seiko tuna, of course. I mean, there's no mistaking that. And that's why it's as popular as it is. But it's not trying to fool you because it clearly doesn't say Seiko anywhere on it. And the person wearing the watch can still enjoy it. You're wearing a design that you like, but you're not trying to pass it off as another brand's watch. You get the experience of what that watch would be like without having to spend the extra money to take that risk. Now, it's a little bit less risky, I suppose, with Seiko because there are plenty of Seiko authorized dealers, authorized retailers that you could just drive over to your local mall and probably try one on and see if you like it. But now keep in mind, with this watch and being ordered through AliExpress, it was $60. I spent a whopping $60 on this and whatever the nominal shipping charge was, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. Now, for $60, you probably don't expect too much, but you get something that's as good and in some ways better than the original Seiko. And I know a lot of you just scoffed and went, yeah, I'm sure you're buying this off-brand watch for $60, and yeah, I'm sure it's just as good as the Seiko, man. No, here's what I'm saying. You have the feeling, the solidity, and everything else that you would feel with the genuine Seiko. You're getting a reasonably accurate movement, no less accurate than what Seiko would be providing, and you're spending $60. The Seiko at $700 or so, or I guess I should say under $1,000, aren't giving you a sapphire crystal and a ceramic bezel. You've got to get up into the $1,000 plus range in their dive watches to get into sapphire plus ceramic. So in my opinion, to spend $60 and get sapphire and ceramic is ridiculous. No matter if it's an original design or it looks like someone else's design, that is a crazy, crazy deal. Now, if it's the tuna specifically that you wanted, and you wanted sapphire and ceramic, you're going up over $1,200. And I'll be honest with you, as cool as I think the tuna is, it's not $1,200 cool. And I don't like putting it that way, but unfortunately sometimes we do have to put it in the perspective of how much we're spending. Now, I had mentioned the accuracy here just a minute ago, so let's talk about that, because always a major decision maker for us is going to be what movement is inside. And I'm sure there are a lot of very inexpensive brands that make a watch that look as presentable as this with a crappy movement. This is going to be an SII NH35 movement. So you have a Seiko-based movement inside, but it's nothing fancy. The stated accuracy is wildly ridiculous, but I've never seen one perform nearly as badly as they claim it could perform. This one has been running about plus 3 seconds a day when I'm wearing it on the wrist, and around plus 5 seconds a day on a winder or at rest on my dresser, or sitting dial up in a watch case. So to me, that's not terrific, but it's certainly acceptable accuracy. And I'm not really an accuracy snob to begin with. Sure, it's great if I've got a super accurate watch, but to be honest with you, I don't mind if I had to wake up every day and then make a slight adjustment, reset the hands, add a little bit of wind, add a little bit of power reserve, and put it on my wrist. It wouldn't really bother me all that much. Now, I know that the power reserve of the NH35 is stated to be about 41 hours, but on this particular one, it seems like a lot less. Now, I haven't really done a proper timing on it, but there are times that I've let it sit for less than 2 days, and it stopped running. I know that's a completely unscientific way of saying that, but I'm also not sitting here wearing a lab coat either, so I don't have to be very scientific. Now, as we get into the specs on this watch, I think it's important to discuss that and to discuss the quality of the luminescence in here, because if you're a Seiko lover like I am, you're expecting greatness when the lights go out. So starting with the case dimensions, you're looking at a diameter of 47.5 millimeters. So it is a big boy, that's for certain. The thickness is 15 millimeters. You've got quite a chunky watch here. Your lug width to accept bracelets and straps is 22 millimeters. You've got a 300-meter water-resistant timepiece made of 316L stainless steel. Again, as mentioned several times before, your crystal is going to be sapphire. It does have anti-reflective coatings on there, and you have the ceramic bezel. They claim that the lume that they're using is Swiss Super Luminova, it's supposed to be C3. I have no reason to doubt that, but again, when you're talking about a price like this, it's really hard to think about that. Sapphire, ceramic, Swiss Super Luminova. Those things by themselves are very, very expensive, and I would think they would be very challenging to do for that kind of price. The effort and expense that they've put into this luminescence is fantastic. By having the Swiss Super Luminova in there with the C3 compound for the hands and the markers, nice, vivid, bright, long-lasting. And then in the bezel, again, I suspect it's BGW9 since it's blue. And also good, bright, long-lasting, looks fantastic, especially when it's set up against that shiny, rich-looking black ceramic. All the way around, there is nothing about this watch that screams $60 or $200, or it just doesn't feel or seem or look inexpensive. They really did a bang-up job. And I wish it wouldn't have taken me forever to discover this brand. And I wish it wasn't hidden on a site like AliExpress, because for my entire life, I've never shopped on there for any products that I would want to have for anything that I wear or anything that I collect. It's just not really an option for me. But after seeing so many YouTube watch reviews talking about AliExpress brands, this being one of them, I went, hey, it looks like there's some really good value out there on that website and pretty decent quality watches. If you spent $60 on any typical website or in any retail store, you're going to come home with something that feels cheap, that looks cheap, that rattles and sounds cheap. And it would have no degree of performance in timekeeping either. And honestly, that was kind of what I expected with this. So it was a wonderful surprise to discover that their quality far exceeds the price that they charge. So again, it's so important to shop around and to check out what other people are talking about, because I'm not saying it's a peer pressure thing, but had I not heard from so many people that I enjoy watching that AliExpress has brands out there that are worth checking out, then I would have never known about this. What a great deal. What a fantastic watch. Again, it's not perfect. It's not mind-blowing. It's not the kind of thing that's going to change the way you collect watches. But it is something that's satisfying and worth far more than what you're paying, so you get a great value. And at the end of the day, if you've got a watch that's reliable, that's a fair degree accurate, that's high quality in its construction, fit, and finish, and checks all of the boxes for the design cues that you want, that's all you need. That really is. Sure, we'd all love to be running around with Vacherons and Pateks and Rolex all day, every day, but that's just not the life that most of us are ever going to live. So when you can find a good value, capitalize on it, jump on it, grab it while you can. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this watch. Let's get a good look at the lume test and get an idea for how long that lume is actually going to last. And keep in mind, and I'll put this up on the screen during the test, but you have to keep in mind that what the camera sees is much different than what the naked eye will see. When you see luminescence fading out to a degree where it's no longer really discernible on camera in the dark, you're still going to be able to see it with your naked eyes, particularly if you were asleep or you were laying in a dark room for a long period of time, trying to sleep, and your eyes are adjusted to the dark and your pupils are dilated, letting in more light than this camera lens is going to let in, you'll actually still be able to see it much more vividly, much more brightly, and much more consistently than what you're able to see on camera. So if you ever see a lume test that I do and the lume appears to fade beyond recognition, let's say in 15 minutes, figure it's going to last at least 5 times longer than that in person to the naked eye. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, let's get down to it and see how it performs.